Here is September 2008, and transperson was a major issue because in Twin Falls where there is no public transperson, it was very hard. And I remember it was really bad snow at that time, and trying to go to Winco or Walmart and trying to do shopping, it was really tough. And when I got here, I was 17 years old, and I went to DMV and I talked to them and see if I could get my license, and they sent me back because I did not have enough English to do it. They told me that I was not able to communicate very effectively, and I just keep going back and forth, and finally they let me do the test, and I passed it on the first time and get my license. Once I get my license, I see the need of driver's training program because a lot of folks they came here and where there was no public transportation, it was very hard for them to transport from one place to another. And I really had no idea where to start at. And trying to do all of these things when I was 17 was very challenging. I just keep changing my mind. But I started with my people from my own community first. And what I used to do was I went to their house, pick them up, bring them up to my apartments, and then teach them the driver's manual. And when I think that they are ready to take the test, I took them to DMV, and they would let me interpret. When I had my license, they let me interpret, and I helped to interpret them. And then once they pass the test, they will get their instruction permit. What does that do is, with the help of instruction permit, they have right to drive if they have licensed drivers. So like if my friend had instruction permit, I can take him to drive and help him practice driving. And I keep doing this, and when they had their license, I used my own van to do this. I was all volunteering at that time. And later, Michelle knew about it, and then she helped me get connected to the Refugee Center and make this program very official. Right now, this program has been very successful. We have different people from Burma, Eritrea, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, and people from my country, Bhutan. And when they are here, what we do is we bring the interpreters from their own ethnic community, like the Burmese interpreter, Iranian interpreters, Afghani interpreters, and so that way I just feel comfortable working with my people because I speak their language and I can speak English at the same time, so it's a little bit easier. But sometimes when the interpreters are not available, what I do is there's an instructor teaching, and then we have interpreters, and then the client, so it's like multi-interpreting. But for the most part, right now it's been a very successful program, and a lot of people there are getting their license very quickly, and as a result they were able to find a job, so that way they could get to work and come back, and then they will help the other people in the community to get their license. And I have been doing this for a long time, for about 3.5 years, and then I enjoy doing it. But sometimes I do have problems. I have people from different countries, and they have driving experience for 12, 15 years, and doesn't matter how many years they were experienced. They had to go through all the training and get their test again. And when I teach them what the rules are here in America, they're like, "What?" It's very tough to help them understand that regardless of your experience, that we need to learn this thing. And it's the rules, and the rules are always rules. But on the flip side, I was usually working with people from different countries, so that way I kind of get to know their culture, and then I get to be their good friends. And every time when they see me, they're like, "Thank you, Chandra, thank you so much." And I kind of feel proud at that time. I just feel that I was able to help them out to some part. And then, and right now, the community has been very helpful. So we have a lot of people who have their driver license now, and then they can help their community. It's hard to get their instruction permit when they have to read that book and do the test. But for the driving part, and we have the Refugee Center van right now that anyone can use for the driving practice, and it's been very helpful that they were able to get their license and be successful here in America. If there's any questions, I'll be willing to answer.
So tell them a little bit about the format. So when do you do the classes? How long do they normally last? How does that work?
Okay. First of all, I'm always running crazy because I'm very busy, and the all the staffs at Refugee Center, they know that I'm crazy. because I go to school full time. I work as an interpreter for the hospital for CSI Refugee Center, PNB School District, and I do driving during the weekends, only during the weekends, and that makes me like running crazy all the time. And the class lasts for it's 12 to 15 hour class. So in 12 to 15 hours, most of the refugees that are ready to take the written test. And about 90 to 95% they just pass their test in the first time if they were willing to learn. It's been very successful. And if you have time to teach them 12 to 15 hours, they do based on their test and then they get the instruction permit. And as for the practicing the driving, they take about 10 to 15 hours most of the time to learn how to drive. But for some folks, they already have that experience, so they just need 2-3 hours practice and they are fine because they already have experience driving. But I have people in my class where they had never had a chance to ride a bike, and trying to learn how to drive was very difficult. But it's possible. It's hard at the beginning, but it's possible. We can do it. Okay.
Do you have women who take your class?
Yes, I do.
I have a lot of mothers that don't drive, so yeah.
That's right. A lot of them they don't.
And a lot of them, the husbands maybe are not willing to teach them, or they tried and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to be removed and not have a relative trying to teach you. And we've had some Iraqi
Yes.
ladies that,
If I'm hearing you correctly, is it ethnic community giving back by helping your countrymen to drive? Because I know as an agency, there's so many liabilities with asking a volunteer to help.
Yes, and so what we do as far as the drivers, we have one of our refugee center vans that says student driver on it, and that is covered under our insurance. And we talk with volunteers about the fact that we recommend that they, as far as just community volunteers, that they not do driver's practice unless they have good insurance and they don't mind if something happens, which I just don't recommend. A lot of the volunteers that he's speaking with are from the ethnic community, and they do a lot of that, kind of the pay it forward mentality. Once they've had the chance to go through that, most of them will go through the actual class with Chandra, but we only have one van, and we have a lot of refugees that need driver's license. So a lot of them will get help from volunteers from their ethnic community
From
to
the
go out and
ethnic
practice.
community most part, and it's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, trying to help them. Sometimes it's very difficult, and when there's a communication barrier, it's very challenging. So, for the most part, people from their own ethnic community help them to get their license.
And we also are in secluded areas. We're out in Twin Falls, and so in Boise you would have to find whatever secluded areas or wherever you're coming from.
So that's kind of unofficial volunteerism then on the part of the ethnic.
That's right. And then I'd like to thank the community, because when they see the refugee driving, they know to back off. I mean, we really appreciate that the community has been very helpful and trying to let us get that privilege and drive here in this beautiful country.
Are you guys working on a grant to get a computer one that you can just put in the agency so people can get practice driving a computer like a lot of
Haven't
places
thought about
have?
that. Haven't thought about that.
That would be a whole new dimension.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yes.
So are you paid staff on the agency to run this driver's training program?
It has fluctuated based on our funding. So he
Yeah.
initiated this whole program volunteer, and he still volunteers tons of his time that he doesn't get paid.
That's right.
We try to pay him for the classes now because he is so professional in the way he conducts it, and he's helped so many clients. And this goes right into using employment money because, I mean, this is helping them gain employment and the self-sufficiency they need. Basically, in Twin Falls, if they're not able to drive, they're not able to function in the
Yeah,
community.
Right.
where there's no public transportation, it's tough.
There's no chance.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I still have a few minutes. You guys are stuck with me a few minutes longer. Okay, so